Long before modern antibiotics, people still survived severe infections. The secret wasn't luck, it was plant medicine, passed down for generations. Today, modern science is going back to these exact same plants and discovering powerful compounds that can fight off bacteria, fungi, and even antibiotic-resistant strains. Today, we're covering 12 forgotten infection-fighting superfoods and the science behind them. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Let's get into it. Number 1. Elderberry, Sambucus nigra, the antiviral berry that got forgotten elderberry. And I want to start here because elderberry is one of those things that has gotten a bit of a reputation in wellness circles. And I think the marketing around it has actually obscured how specific and genuinely impressive the research is. A peer-reviewed study published in BMC Complementary Medicine confirmed that standardized elderberry liquid extract has antimicrobial activity against Streptococcus pyogenes and group C and G streptococci, which are the bacteria behind strep throat and certain serious respiratory infections, as well as Branamella catarrhalis, a significant cause of ear infections and respiratory tract infections. The same extract showed inhibitory effects against human pathogenic influenza A and B viruses. That's bacteria and viruses in the same preparation. That's not a common finding. The mechanism involves anthocyanins that bind to flu virus proteins and prevent them from entering host cells. It's a physical blocking mechanism, not just an antioxidant effect. Traditional European medicine used elderberry for respiratory illness and fever for centuries. Modern research has confirmed exactly why. Elderberry syrup, made by simmering elderberries with water, a little honey, and ginger, keeps in the fridge for 2 to 3 weeks. A tablespoon daily during illness season, or 2 to 3 tablespoons at the first sign of infection. Make sure to cook the berries. Raw elderberries contain compounds that can cause nausea. Number 2. Black seed, Nigella sativa, the seed that fights everything black seed. Nigella sativa. We've touched on this before in the context of joint health and stroke prevention, but its antimicrobial properties specifically deserve their own conversation because they are remarkable. Thymoquinone, the primary active compound in black seed, has been tested against an extraordinary range of pathogens. Studies have shown activity against Staphylococcus aureus, including methicillin-resistant strains. That's MRSA, one of the most feared antibiotic-resistant hospital infections. Activity against E. coli, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Candida albicans, and Helicobacter pylori. Multiple studies have also found that thymoquinone has synergistic effects with conventional antibiotics, meaning it makes the antibiotics work better against resistant strains when combined. That synergy angle is one of the more exciting areas of current research. Black seed also activates the NRF2 pathway, the body's master antioxidant switch, supporting the immune system's own ability to fight infection simultaneously, direct pathogen activity, and host immune support at the same time. Half a teaspoon of black seed oil in warm water daily, or mix it with raw honey, which has its own antimicrobial properties, and makes the strong flavor much more manageable. Whole black seeds can be added to bread, soups, or yogurt. Consistent daily use is where the immune support benefit builds. Number 3. Pau d'arco, Tabebuia impetigosa, the Amazon bark that fights fungi and bacteria. Pau d'arco, the inner bark of the Tabebuia tree, native to South America. This one is genuinely obscure in most Western kitchens and health conversations. But in South American traditional medicine, it has been used for infections, fever, candida, and what the tradition described as blood purification for well over a century of documented medicinal use. The active compounds are naphthoquinones, specifically lapicol and beta-lapicone. Research has confirmed antifungal activity against Candida albicans and other fungal pathogens, antibacterial activity against gram-positive bacteria, and antiparasitic effects. The antifungal activity is particularly notable for chronic Candida overgrowth, which is increasingly common and difficult to treat. Pau d'arco provides a traditionally well-tolerated approach for early or mild cases. Pau d'arco tea, made by simmering dried inner bark in water for 20 minutes, is the traditional preparation. Drink 2 to 3 cups daily during active infection. Available as a tincture or capsule for more consistent dosing. Not recommended during pregnancy or alongside blood thinners without medical guidance. Number 4. Oil of oregano, Oreganum vulgare, the Mediterranean antibiotic in a bottle, oil of oregano. And this one has developed a bit of a cult following in natural health circles, which means it's one of those things where the claims have outrun the evidence somewhat. But strip away the hype, and what you have left is still genuinely impressive. The antimicrobial activity of oregano oil comes from two compounds, carvacrol and thymol. Multiple peer-reviewed studies have confirmed broad-spectrum antibacterial activity, including against Staphylococcus aureus, E. coli, Listeria, and Salmonella. A review of studies suggested oregano shows strong activity against Staphylococcus bacteria, including hard-to-treat strains. The mechanism is that carvacrol disrupts the bacterial cell membrane, increasing its permeability and essentially causing the bacterium to leak and die. That membrane disruption mechanism is actually similar to how some pharmaceutical antibiotics work. It also has significant antifungal properties against candida and documented antiviral activity. The ancient Greeks used oregano specifically for bacterial infections and as a food preservative, which makes perfect sense given the mechanism. Oil of oregano is potent and should be diluted, a few drops in a tablespoon of olive oil or water. Don't use undiluted internally. For short-term use during acute infection, 2 to 3 times daily. Use food-grade or therapeutic-grade oil specifically labeled as containing high carvacrol content. Number 5. Golden seal, Hydrastis canadensis, Native America's antibiotic root golden seal, a small woodland plant native to North America with distinctive bright yellow roots, used extensively by Native American communities for infections and wounds. Early European settlers adopted it widely. By the late 19th century, it was one of the most widely used medicinal plants in North America. Then antibiotics arrived and it quietly faded. The active compound is berberine, one of the most studied natural antimicrobial compounds identified in any plant. Research has confirmed golden seal leaf extracts have direct antimicrobial activity, supported by the alkaloid berberine, against a range of pathogens including Staphylococcus aureus. Berberine is also active against E. coli, Helicobacter pylori, Giardia, and Candida, working by binding to bacterial DNA and preventing replication. It also has anti-inflammatory properties that reduce tissue damage from the immune response. Golden seal is available as a tincture, capsule, or dried root tea. For infections specifically, a tincture is the most practical form. 20 to 30 drops in water, 2 to 3 times daily, for short courses of up to 2 weeks. It's not a herb for continuous long-term use. Short, targeted courses during active infection is the traditional approach. Number 6. Osnea lichen, the forgotten antibiotic that grows on trees. Osnea, and I'll be honest, this one was new to me when I started researching it. Osnea is a lichen, a dual organism, part fungus and part algae, that grows hanging from trees in forests across the world. It looks like gray-green beard-like strands dangling from branches. It was used as a wound dressing and antimicrobial agent across multiple traditional medicine systems, in Chinese medicine, in Native American healing, in European herbal tradition, before antibiotics existed. The active compound is usnic acid, which has documented antimicrobial activity specifically against gram-positive bacteria, including Staphylococcus and Streptococcus strains. It's particularly notable for its activity against Mycobacterium tuberculosis in laboratory studies. Usnic acid disrupts the energy metabolism of bacteria, a mechanism distinct from most conventional antibiotics, meaning resistant strains may still be susceptible. The mechanistic basis is solid, and the traditional use extensive. Usnea is most available as a tincture from herbal medicine suppliers. It's not a food you'll find in a supermarket. 5 to 15 drops in water, 2 to 3 times daily. It's particularly used for respiratory and urinary tract infections in traditional Western herbalism. Work with a practitioner familiar with herbal medicine for guidance on dosing. Quick pause. If you're still with me and finding this genuinely useful, drop a like. It helps more people find this content. And let me know in the comments which of these you've actually heard of before. I'm always curious where people's knowledge starts. 6 down, 6 to go, and these next ones include some that genuinely surprised me when I went through the research. Number 7. Cat's claw, Uncaria tomentosa, the Peruvian vine that resets the immune system. Cat's claw, Uncaria tomentosa. A woody vine from the Amazon rainforest named for the hook-like thorns that line its stems. It has been used in Peruvian and South American traditional medicine for at least 2,000 years. The Ashaninka people, one of the largest indigenous groups in Peru, have a documented history of using it specifically for infections, inflammatory conditions, and immune support. The antimicrobial and immune-modulating properties come from alkaloids, specifically pentacyclic oxindole alkaloids, and quinovic acid glycosides. Research has confirmed cat's claw inhibits the growth of several bacterial pathogens and has specific antiviral activity against rhinovirus, the most common cause of the common cold, and against influenza strains. Cat's claw also upregulates the body's own immune response, increasing natural killer cell activity alongside the direct antimicrobial effect. That dual mechanism makes it particularly effective in practice. Cat's claw bark tea. Simmer a teaspoon of dried bark in 2 cups of water for 15 to 20 minutes. Strain and drink 1 to 2 cups daily during periods of infection or immune challenge. Available as a capsule or tincture. Not recommended during pregnancy or alongside immunosuppressant medications. Number 8. Andrographis. Andrographis paniculata. Asia's forgotten infection fighter Andrographis. And this is one that is well known in Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine, but almost completely unknown in most Western households, which is genuinely puzzling given how well it performs in research. Andrographis is called the king of bitters in Asian medicine. Intensely bitter, which has been a barrier to mainstream adoption despite its effectiveness. Andrographilide has documented activity against influenza A, HIV replication, respiratory syncytial virus, and several bacterial pathogens. Multiple clinical trials have shown Andrographis reduces the severity and duration of upper respiratory infections at the first sign of symptoms. A Cochrane review concluded it was more effective than placebo, a meaningful level of clinical evidence for an herbal medicine. Andrographilide also works as an immunostimulant, increasing interferon production, which is the body's own antiviral signaling system. So again, you get the pathogen targeting effect and the host immune enhancement effect simultaneously. Standardized Andrographis extract capsules are the most practical form. The tea is genuinely very bitter. 3 to 4 capsules at the first sign of infection, daily for up to a week. Number 9. Neem. Azadirachta indica. The village pharmacy of India neem. In India, the neem tree is called the village pharmacy. A single tree providing antimicrobial, antifungal, antiviral, and antiparasitic compounds all at once. Central to Ayurvedic medicine for over 4,000 years. The active compounds, nimbin, nimbidin, nimbolide, and azadirachtin, have been extensively studied. Research confirms antimicrobial activity against Staphylococcus aureus, E. coli, Salmonella, and Pseudomonas aeruginosa, strong antifungal activity against Candida species, and significant antiviral properties. Nimbolide specifically has been identified as having activity against dengue virus and herpes simplex in laboratory studies. The breadth of neem's antimicrobial spectrum is unusual, working across bacteria, fungi, and viruses through different mechanisms simultaneously. Neem leaf tea. Steep 5 to 6 fresh or dried neem leaves in hot water for 10 minutes. The taste is quite bitter, similar to Andrographis. Neem leaf capsules are the most practical form for regular use. Neem oil is for external use only, diluted and applied topically to skin infections. One of the most accessible of the less familiar plants on this list if you have access to an Indian or Asian grocery store. Number 10. Propolis, the beehive's antibiotic resin propolis. And this one is technically not a food the bees produce. It's a resin they collect from tree buds and bark and use to seal and sterilize the beehive. The interior of a beehive is one of the most microbially hostile environments in nature. Bees are maintaining near-sterile conditions in a warm, sugar-rich environment that would otherwise be a perfect breeding ground for bacteria and fungi. Propolis is how they do it. The antimicrobial compounds in propolis, primarily caffeic acid phenethyl ester, pinosembrin, galangin, and quercetin, have been confirmed in research to have antibacterial activity against Staphylococcus aureus, Streptococcus mutans, E. coli, and Helicobacter pylori. The antifungal activity against Candida is well documented. And propolis has specific wound healing properties. It promotes tissue regeneration at infection sites simultaneously with killing the pathogens causing the infection. Traditional use of propolis as a wound dressing and throat treatment goes back to ancient Egypt. Hippocrates reportedly used it for wound healing. Propolis tincture, 5 to 10 drops in warm water or directly under the tongue. Propolis throat spray for local throat infections. Propolis lozenges for mouth and throat. Raw propolis can be chewed directly, but has a very strong, resinous taste. Available from health food stores and beekeeping suppliers. Look for ethanol-based tinctures, which extract the full range of active compounds. Number 11. Cloves, Syzygium aromaticum, the spice with the broadest antimicrobial spectrum. Cloves. And most people think of cloves as a baking spice, maybe something you push into an orange at Christmas. But from an antimicrobial standpoint, cloves have one of the broadest and most studied spectrums of any spice in existence. Clove oil, and the whole dried spice, is 70 to 90% eugenol, a phenolic compound with exceptional antimicrobial properties. In a study exploring the antifungal activity of several essential oils, clove oil showed the most broad-spectrum effects of all oils tested. The antibacterial activity covers Staphylococcus aureus, E. coli, Listeria, Salmonella, and Pseudomonas. The antifungal activity covers Candida and Aspergillus. And cloves have documented antiviral properties against influenza and other respiratory viruses. Traditional use of cloves for dental and digestive infections is observed across Asian, Middle Eastern, and European medicine. Eugenol kills pathogens by disrupting cell membrane integrity, the same mechanism as oregano's carvacrol. Brew 2 or 3 whole cloves in hot water for 10 minutes as a tea. The antimicrobial compounds are water-soluble. Add to cooking regularly. They survive heat well and provide ongoing antimicrobial benefit in the gut. Clove oil is highly concentrated and should be significantly diluted before any internal use. For dental infections specifically, a clove pressed against the gum is a traditional remedy with a genuinely sound antimicrobial basis. Number 12. Cryptolepis, Cryptolepis sanguinolenta, West Africa's most powerful antimicrobial plant. And we end here with the one most people on this list will never have heard of, Cryptolepis sanguinolenta, a West African plant used in traditional Ghanaian medicine specifically for infections, malaria, and fever, and one that has attracted increasingly serious pharmacological attention in recent years. The active compound is cryptolepinane, an alkaloid with documented antibacterial activity against Staphylococcus aureus, including multi-drug-resistant strains, E. coli, and Klebsiella pneumoniae. It has specific antimalarial activity and has been studied in clinical trials in West Africa for malaria treatment, with results showing effectiveness comparable to chloroquine in some studies. More recently, cryptolepin has attracted attention for potential activity against Borrelia burgdorferi, the bacteria behind Lyme disease, with laboratory research showing it among the most effective natural compounds tested. Traditional medicine identified and used this plant for generations. Modern research is now examining it with serious intent. Cryptolepis root bark tea, simmered for 20 minutes, is the traditional Ghanaian preparation, available from specialist herbal suppliers as a tincture or dried root. This is one where sourcing quality matters significantly. Work with a practitioner familiar with herbal medicine for guidance, particularly if using it for any serious infection. But know it exists, because the research behind it is increasingly difficult to ignore. 12 plants that fought off infection long before modern antibiotics, and science is proving they actually work. While antibiotics save lives during severe bacterial infections, these plants fill the gaps, supporting your immune system early on, fighting off viruses, and tackling resistant strains. Drop a comment below. Which of these have you tried, and which one surprised you most? I read every single one. Subscribe for more, and if you want to discover forgotten anti-aging vegetables most people stopped eating, click the video on screen right now.